Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Mina Blasey. Today I want to talk to you about the California Assessment for Student Performance and Progress. This is also called the Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium. Well, in the state of California and all states in the United States, we have what's called a local report card or our state assessments. And typically 3rd through 8th grade and then 1 grade in high school gets assessed on their language, typically English language arts, and mathematics. And then 3 grades in the state of California, for example, it's 5th, 8th, and 1 grade in high school, also science. And then some districts around the country and specifically California, we also will do an assessment in Spanish if the students are in a dual language program, or maybe they want to get a seal of biliteracy in that area so they can actually take that assessment as well. So I'm going to go over what that looks like for California. And as I find the other state assessments, I'll go over that too, because I am well aware of, say, Illinois and Ohio's assessments. But today, I'm going to go over the California Assessment for Student Performance and Progress. If you're an educator or an administrator, take a moment, put in the conversation in the chat. What do you think about the state assessment in California? And how do you use it to inform your instruction and interventions at the beginning of the year, especially if your students take the assessment? Go ahead and just put that information right there. And we're going to get started right now. So here is some information that will help you with looking at state data. So for example, if you research this on Google, say you just type in CAASPP results or CAASPP state test scores, you will get this website, and it's caaspp.lpac.ets.org/CAASPP. And let me just kind of show you. If you just type in CAASPP results, you will find it. Now, notice that CAASPP.org wanted to pop up. Don't want to go there. That's actually the testing system for our educators. So CAASPP results, you hit enter, and then you'll get that website, which, by the way, is just this website. So you can click on any of these areas, and you can click on about the assessments, which is really nice to read about. Take the time through those. The actual assessments are here. Additional resources around the assessments, which I will talk about on another day. Contacting the CAASPP system or LPAC system, and then any new releases that have come up. So, and when you look at those new releases, take your time through those as well. And that's typically on the California Department of Education. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to select home. And I am going to select English language arts. And this, if you see, is the 21-22 test scores. These test scores the test was actually given at the end of the school year last year, around April until June, depending on when the district did their testing window. And this, what you see right now, and you can see this here, where it says test results at a glance, you see state of California. That's the county district school code for California. It's all zeros. And you'll see a score in the middle. The score in the middle is the met or exceeded score. So they're taking this score, the exceeded score, and the met score, and they are combining them here. So the green and the blue together. Same with English language arts. They are combining the exceeds, the level 4, and the level 3. Yes, of course, you want to look at this data as well, because the students that met or are proficient, met or exceeded, are the ones that are showcased right here. Now, you won't see your individual child, but your school district should have that information if your child stayed tested. Now, if your child did not, you will not have that information, typically 3rd through 8th grade in the state of California, and grade 11 for ELA and mathematics. But if you chose not to assess, you won't get those scores. Now, I would highly recommend that you consider taking the assessment, because kids can get some practice over the years, because in 11th grade, the University of California and the Cal State universities don't need the SAT or the ACT. They use what we call the EAP, or the exceeded score for your child, to get into the University of California or Cal State schools. And that EAP, the score goes directly there. So if you're saying, oh, I don't want my child to take it, you're going to need to take it for 11th grade if they're going to college and you want them to get some practice. And the truth is it gives you some good scores. It tells you where your child is and where they need to go. And it just tells a story, and I highly recommend it. So take some time, look at this. Now, you can look at the state of California. You can see disability status. So students in the state of California, when you select this reported disabilities, nothing changes, but you select apply selection. And it'll tell you that students with disabilities, this is met or exceeded, a lot lower than the typical students as a whole, and same with mathematics. You can look at economic status. The first one comes up as economically disadvantaged or not economically disadvantaged. So you can see the difference. You can select apply. So if they are economically disadvantaged, meaning they don't meet the threshold of making a certain amount of money in the state of California, these are the students that score there. And then if you wanted to compare it to those who are not economically disadvantaged, the scores seem to be a lot higher. That's a great conversation to have with your school sites, especially if you're a teacher, maybe other teachers, maybe your principal or your district instruction departments on what can we do differently for those students? Like, why are they not performing as well? Maybe there's something that they need access to. You can look at English language fluency. In this situation, we have initial and we have reclassified, and then we have our English only fluent proficient. So these are the students that are proficient in English. However, you can go down to maybe our English learners. They are identified as English learners and they still need supports. And you could select that and apply it. And you can see that there's a huge difference compared to typical students or our students that we would consider fluent English proficient. So these are reclassified fluent English proficient, for example. Select that. And then you have a much higher number. So what's happening? What's different here? And then you can go down to gender. You can compare female, for example, in English language arts to math. You can go to male and see what's happening. There might be a little bit difference. You'll notice that all grades, males don't actually perform as well in English as females. However, they have about a 3% higher rate than girls in all grades. But here's something you could do is you could change it by grade and go, males, 3rd grade. Something to be said about that. And then compare it to 3rd grade females. And there's some research that actually says that girls tend to perform better in ELA and boys in mathematics. However, what's the conversation around that? And you can look at race and ethnicity, for example, hit apply, our Native Americans, you can have this conversation. Why are they not performing as well as other students? And what can we do differently and differentiate? Great conversations. But here's something you may want to do. You can go to type of school, district, or zip code here. Now, I'm not actually put in a zip code before, but I, for example, I'm in Southern California, so I'll just go up to Northern California. I typed in Berkeley, for example. There's Berkeley High or Berkeley Unified, which is a conversation. We could just go to Berkeley Unified. I could go just to high school. So let me just enter that, and immediately changes. So if you add a school or a district, it immediately changes for you, so you can see that data. So maybe you're like, I'm in Southern California and I might be moving to Northern California. I want to check some schools out, some districts. How are they performing? Maybe my child will do really well there. So you can see as a whole what the district is doing. You could say, maybe let's go back and look at the high school. My child is going into high school. Let's go see what's happening there. And look at that information. Or maybe you're thinking, you know what, my child is an English learner, or my child has a disability. I might want to see compared to where I am and see how they're doing there. You may want to ask a question. Maybe your child is whatever race you want to, whatever your race your child is, you want to look that up and apply and say, in Berkeley, they don't have enough students to actually look at this data in Berkeley. So that's a conversation. Maybe you want to look at African American and Black students compared to the population. This is a conversation, like, why are students in the 60% as a whole? Like, so take that snapshot and then you look at all students and apply that again. like they're significantly different. So what's happening in that school district? Why are the African American students performing lower? So you could have that conversation about what can we do to support students in different ethnic or racial groups. You can look at the socioeconomic disadvantaged students and immediately say, okay, lower income students are doing not as bad as we thought, but let's compare them to economically advantaged students and say, okay, a lot higher. What's different about these students? You could even look at the parent education status. You can go to didn't finish high school graduate, has some college graduate, postgraduate, and those who declined to state. And you can enter that there. So great conversations to have in your local school district. Maybe you're in Northern California, you're like, I'm going to move to San Diego. Let's go look at that. So you have San Diego, state of California. That right there is an interesting conversation. So I'm going to open it. So this, what I want you to see is the county. And the reason why you know that is because it only has 2 numbers at the beginning. So this is how you know it's the county. And then you can say, okay, so that's what the county did as a whole. Maybe I want to see, is there a San Diego Unified? There is. Now it's in the county of San Diego. And you know it is because it says 3.7, but this is, now you know that this county district school code, that's the actual district, and you can compare. And then you could start to look at the different schools. But what if I type in quickly San Diego and hit enter before it happens? Here's what happens. What happened? You get a list of schools and districts here. Everything that has a 37 we know is in San Diego County. And you can start to look at all of these at once, or you can say, it's really not where I wanted to go. You can actually select a county here. You can select a district here after you select a county. Let's say you select Los Angeles, then the districts populate. You select ABC Unified, for example, and then you can break it down by school site. So that's something that you may want to do. But maybe you want to get out of this. You're like, I don't want to do this. I want to go back to the other one. Just select home. It'll take you back to the beginning. But again, if you just select nothing here and you hit enter, or just put in a zip code, nothing's going to happen unless you actually type something. But if you type it quickly and you know that there are some duplicates, it'll take you over to the more advanced search. But you could search, select the second one, and it'll take you there too. So either way, you could add a state to compare to. You can view statewide results here. You could understand the results here. Just a great conversation. You can do this for the California Science Test. We also have what's called the Alternative English Language Arts Literacy and Math Test. This is the assessment where students typically couldn't access the general ed or typical students test. They may have a disability, maybe it's a cognitive disability or an orthopedic impairment, so they need some assistance. And then there's also what we call our English language proficiency and Spanish assessment. So hopefully you get something out of this. I hope that you play. Please put down in the chat if you have questions, need some clarification, please put that in there and chat and tell me what you think. Hope you have. I really enjoyed this conversation.